The Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment is the first rifle regiment in the Sri Lanka Army and the second oldest infantry regiment in the Army. It is made up of 7 regular battalions, 5 volunteer battalions and a headquarters battalion at the Ambepussa Camp. History: Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment was the first rifle regiment of the Sri Lanka Army and was formed on 1 October 1956 at the Imperial Camp at Talawa. The 1st Battalion primarily consisted of 60 officers and other ranks from the Ceylon Light Infantry with Lt Col. D. J. Adhalaka MBE as the first commanding officer. The D Company of the Volunteer Ceylon Light Infantry was transformed into the Rajarata Rifles under the leadership of Lt Col. S. D. Ratwat, and went on to become the 2nd Volunteer Battalion of the Sinha Regiment on 1 October 1956. On 1 October 1969 the 3rd Volunteer Battalion of the Sinha Regiment was formed at Hill School in Nuwara Eliya. The regiment first saw action during the 1971 insurrection and underwent an expansion with escalation of the Sri Lankan Civil War. With the expansion of the regiment, the Regimental Centre of Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment was established on 9 May 1988 at Talawa at the same location where the 1st Battalion of the Sinha Regiment was raised. Brigadier Wijayasinghe was the 1st Regimental Commander. Later, on 21 October 1989, the Regimental Centre was relocated to Ambepussa Camp where the 1st Battalion of the Sinha Regiment was at the time. The regiment distinguished itself greatly during the Sri Lankan Civil War, including having 2 Paramawira Vibhushan and 1 Wirodara Vibhushan recipients. In 1990 the elements of the 6th Battalion successfully held the old Dutch fort of Jaffna for 2 months while surrounded and under siege until it was relieved by the subsequent Operation Thrivada Bala. July 1991 the 6th Battalion garrisoned Elephant Pass Base when it came under siege, with the LTTE launching a massive attack on the base. The battalion held out what was termed the Battle of All Battles until it was relieved following Operation Balava Gaya 18 days later. On 3 May 2005 a contingent of troops from the regiment took part in the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti. The Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment is the only regiment in the history of the Sri Lanka Army to produce an army commander holding the rank of a full general and later a field marshal, as indicated in the notable members area. As a rifle regiment it marches in 180 steps a minute during parade when it is involved. Together with the regimental band, the only Sri Lanka Army regiment to do so. Units: Regular Army 1st Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 4th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 6th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 7th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 8th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 9th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 12th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 14th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 16th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 20th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 21st Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 23rd Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 24th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 25th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 26th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. RHQ Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. The Volunteers 2nd Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 3rd Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 5th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 11th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 15th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 17th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 18th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. 19th Battalion, Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. Recipients of the Paramawira Vibhushan Captain Saulia Upul Aladenia, Corporal Gamini Kularatna, Lance Corporal Ambhg, Abhay Rathna Banda. Notable members: Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, RWP, RSP, VSV, USP, RCD, SPSC, a former commander of the Sri Lanka Army; Major General AR Udagama, MBE, a former commander of the Ceylon Army; Major General HS Hapirachchi, a former Chief of Staff, Sri Lanka Army; Major General DW Hapirachchi, Commanding Officer 1st BNSLSR, Founder Commanding Officer Sri Lanka National Guard; Major General Jamunu Kulatung, RSP, USP, a former Deputy Chief of Staff, Sri Lanka Army; Major General Susan Themendus, former Brigade Commander, 512 Brigade; Brigadier T. S.B. Sally, Commanding Officer 1st BNSLSR, Chief of Staff, Sri Lanka Army; Brigadier S.B. Miyanadenia, Commanding Officer 1st BNSLSR, Director Training SL Army; Major D. MLB Dasanayaka RSP, Commanding Officer 15th BNSLSR, Staff Sergeant Pradeep Sanjaya, Bronze Medalist 400 meters London Paralympics 2012, 4th Battalion Sri Lanka Sinha Regiment. Order of Precedence.